Live. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the regular session of Elgin County Council. It is July the 11th, 9 a.m. and I will call this meeting to order. First order of business is the adoption of the minutes.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting held on June 27th, 2023 be adopted.
Do I have a mover and seconder? That'd be Councillor Noble would move and Councillor Sloan would second. I should have asked if everyone was satisfied with those minutes. Let's call the question then. And all in favor? Thank you. I would remind members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. We have no petitions or presentations this morning. We will now go to section 5, committee of the whole.
Be it resolved that we do now move into committee of the whole council.
Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Warden Jones and Councillor Cookett, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on with reports of council, outside boards and staff. First is section 6.1, the warden's report, the activity report for June. I would direct your attention to the report. The activity is there, as well as a request for a couple of flag raising opportunities. If I can get it up. Does anyone have any questions? Kick me out again. Seeing none, then we'll go on with the motion.
Be it resolved that the report titled Warden's Activity Report June 2023 and Community Flag Raising Requests dated June 28th, 2023 from Warden Ketchabah be received and filed, and that County Council support the proclamation and flag raising requests from the Elgin County Drowning Prevention Coalition and Child Can.
Do I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Latham will move and Councillor Hentz will second. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Section 6.2, the acting manager of planning, Town of Elmer official plan amendment number 22, file number AY OPA 23-01. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Warden. I'm happy to walk council through this particular application. It's a fairly straightforward official plan amendment that intends to change the designation on lands located on John Street from highway commercial to residential to permit the property, which is a former hardware store or home hardware store, to be used as a multi-residential development. In terms of compliance with provincial, county, and local policy, certainly this proposal complies with all of them. I do note in the staff report that county staff did have some concerns as to whether or not a record of site condition when properties that were formerly used for industrial or commercial purposes go to a more sensitive land use like residential. There are sometimes requirements under the Environmental Protection Act for a record of site condition to be filed with the Ministry of the Environment. So our staff did review this with the Ministry of the Environment and confirmed that for an official plan amendment, this was discretionary. So staff are satisfied that we have complied with the Planning Act and the Environmental Protection Act in this case. The application is both supported by municipal staff and Town of Elmer Council. The recommendation that's before you, again, is fairly straightforward. OPA is for an approval. I'm certainly happy to field any questions that council may have.
Thank you for that report, Paul. Does anyone have any questions and or concerns? Seeing none.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Elgin approve official plan amendment number 22 to the official plan of the Town of Elmer, and that staff be directed to provide notice of this decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Cookett will move. Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? That's carried. Moving down to section 6.3 from the acting manager of planning, red line revision, Belmont Estates, phase 6, municipality of Central Elgin, County of Elgin. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Council may recall that on occasion we get these types of applications that we refer to colloquially as a red line revision. So this is when County Council has granted a draft approval to a plan of subdivision. It's not been finalized, or the final approval hasn't been given, and therefore it's not at land registry. And often cases the developer is looking to modify the plan slightly, often because of technical reasons or because of changing market conditions. In this particular case, we have a plan of subdivision in which was subject to an expropriation by the Thames Valley District School Board to remove lands from the plan of subdivision for a new elementary school to be constructed.
All your audio is shaky. We can't hear you.
My apologies. I'm going to unplug my earbuds and we'll see if that corrects the issue.
That's better. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
So far.
So far? Okay, I'll give it another shot. And so as I was noting, this is an application for a red line revision to a plan. So this is a plan that County Council has provided a draft approval to, but it has not gone through a final approval yet. And often developers apply for a red line revision to the plan to make technical changes to the plan or to address changing market conditions since the plan was approved. In this particular case, we have a situation where the school board is actually, the Thames Valley District School Board has expropriated land out of the plan of subdivision to construct a new elementary school. And they have requested that the county redline the plan to remove, if it's essentially to legally or technically remove this block from the draft plan of subdivision. This is a fairly technical and legal change to the draft plan. It doesn't change anything else in the draft plan, but removes this block so the school board can proceed with construction of this new elementary school. We've reviewed the proposed red line against the policies of the provincial policy statement, the county plan and the local plan, and we're satisfied that the red line revision complies with all requirements of the Planning Act and our policy framework. And we're recommending an approval of this red line revision before council this morning. And again, I'm certainly happy to field any questions or answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you for that report, Paul. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Seeing none. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Elgin grants approval to a revised draft plan of subdivision that has the effect of removing block 183 from the draft plan of subdivision prepared by MTE Ontario Land Surveyors and dated May 10th, 2023.
Do we have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Hentz will move, Deputy Warden Jones will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 6.4, Director of Community and Cultural Services, Cloud Hosting Services for Archives and Museum Database. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, all. Mr. Warden, and through you to the members of council. First off, I would like to either introduce or reintroduce you to Gina Diwali, who is our Assistant Archivist and lead on our database and digitization projects for both museum and archives. This report recommends that a cloud hosted solution be implemented for data and associated software being used by archives and museum. We recently maximized storage capacity on county servers due to ongoing digitization work. And this has a potential to disrupt or disable other county applications that all staff do use. I've outlined some of that activity in the report. It's ongoing. Cloud hosting will take this data off of county servers and is also a recommended solution over the longer term from the perspective of software support, upgrades, and security. The additional cost of the service is just over $12,000 annually, which can be for 2023 accommodated in the existing IT services budget and will form part of future budget deliberations. And certainly we'll be looking for efficiencies to accommodate that cost. Staff are recommending that a contract be established with Andernaut Consulting to provide software and cloud hosting services under sole source provisions of the county's purchasing policy. Andernaut has supported this specialized software over several years and has the expertise to complete this migration on a timely basis and in a cost-effective manner. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Thank you for that report, Brian. Does anyone have any questions, concerns? Yes, Councillor Cookett.
Good morning. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden, and to Brian. My understanding is that this service provides both storage and hosting in the cloud. Or the mist, as I call it. Is the storage in Canada? Because that's one of the concerns always.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. To respond to the question, the servers are based in Vancouver, that's correct, right? Vancouver, Andronaut is out of Vancouver, BC.
Any additional questions? Well, as I see it, this should free up roughly 3 terabytes of storage capacity for our servers and reduce the risk of operation or risk to operations for the county. I'm not sure that there's any additional choice other than buying additional servers. So perhaps this is the right route we should be taking. Brian, is there an escape clause in this? If we find that this isn't working out for us, is there an opportunity and what kind of notice do we need to give? And
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. As we develop that contract, there will be cancellation provisions. I can tell you that Andronaut has been, I think even we can say exceptional to deal with over the period, more than reasonable. As a matter of fact, I would say that this contract for them represents an opportunity to make further inroads in this market. And we're leveraging actually very significant pricing, and they've always proven to be very flexible with us, but certainly we'll make sure those cancellation provisions are built into the contract.
okay, thank you for that. If there are no further questions or concerns, Jenna?
Be it resolved that the report titled Cloud Hosting Services for Archives and Museum Database dated June 29th, 2023 from the Director of Community and Cultural Services be received and filed, and that the Chief Administrative Officer be authorized to execute an agreement for cloud hosting and software services between the County of Elgin and Andronaut Consulting Incorporated for a minimum 5-year term beginning in 2023 with associated costs drawn from existing funds in the 2023 information technology budget and as part of future budget planning subject to the terms and conditions laid out in the report titled Cloud Hosting Services for Museum and Archives Database.
Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Widner will move. Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Which brings us down to section 7, council correspondence. 7.2 items for information, the consent agenda. 7.2.1, which is the annual report from Southwest Public Health. And 7.2.2, the letter from the town of Petrolia to the Minister of Education regarding the ministry consider addressing concerns regarding child care shortage in Petrolia, Lambton, and across the province. Does anyone have any comments or questions or wish to support any of this? Deputy Warden Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment on the Southwest Public Health. Obviously, the report is there, and a vast majority of the past 4 years was dealing about 3 years of COVID, which really put us behind the 8 ball on a lot of stuff. But Dr. Tran, I found Dr. Tran to be a very engaging person. I think we've got a great fit with the medical officer of health there. He's going to do a great job for us. And really, that's about all I have to say on it.
Thank you for those comments. Does anyone else have anything to offer? Councillor Cookett.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment on the letter to Minister Leckie concerning childcare services. Childcare services is kind of a sleeper danger, I guess, a concern in communities, and certainly in the community of Elmer, it is a concern because there's not enough spaces, there's not enough support by the government, and certainly would support doing something to support this letter to the minister.
Okay, what's the appetite of council? Would you like to have a supporting letter for this? Okay, Jenna, can you craft something quickly?
Be it resolved that Elgin County Council supports the resolution from the Council of the Town of Petrolia recommending amendments to the current regulations for licensed home-based childcare operators to increase allowable spaces, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Honorable Michael Parsa, Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, MPP Rob Flack, and the municipalities of Ontario.
Could I also suggest that the first part of the resolution be in there as well? Like resolve the correspondence items be received?
And resolve that correspondence items 7.2.1 and 7.2.2 be received for information.
Okay. Having heard that motion, anyone willing to move and second? Counselor Crockett will move. Counselor Latham will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. This brings us on to section 8, other business. Does anyone have any statements or inquiries by members? I have one. I would certainly like to take the opportunity to wish Deputy Warden Jones a significant happy birthday today. You've reached a milestone. I understand 49 and holding. Close enough. So that's great. Happy birthday to you. Is there any notice of motion? Moving on with matters of urgency. We have a couple of committee appointments to deal with to fill out the roster. I know that I have spoken with Councillor Latham in the past about an appointment to the Rural Initiatives and Planning Advisory Committee. And I will admit, I didn't get around to speaking with you, Deputy Warden Jones, but we do have an opening on the Human Resources Committee. Hoping that you're not already overtaxed. If you are, then it's up to council's discretion for an alternate for that position. But if you're willing to serve, appreciate that. Thank you. We have a couple of motions then.
Be it resolved that Deputy Warden Jones be appointed to the Human Resources Committee, and that Councillor Latham be appointed to the Rural Initiatives and Planning Advisory Committee for the remainder of 2023.
Okay, do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Sloan will move. Councillor Jiguer will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Which brings us to the closed meeting items.
Be it resolved that we do now proceed into closed meeting session in accordance with the Municipal Act to discuss the following matters under Municipal Act Section 239(2). Closed meeting item number 1, closed meeting minutes, June 27th, 2023. Closed meeting item number 2, financial update, immaterial anomaly, Section 239(2)A and B. Closed meeting item number 3, OLT 23-000241 and OLT 23-000242, Section 239(2)E and F. Closed meeting item number 4, OLT 23-000137, Section 239(2)E and F. Closed meeting item number 5, boundary adjustment update, Section 239(2)H, and closed meeting item number 6, contract negotiations, Section 239(2)K.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Noble will move. Deputy Warden Jones will second. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Motion to rise and report.
Be it resolved that we do now rise and report.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Sloan will move. Councillor Widner will second. All in favor? That's carried. Closed meeting item number 1.
Be it resolved that the closed meeting minutes of the meeting held on June 27th, 2023 be adopted.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Hentz and Councillor Sloan. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Closed meeting item number 2.
Be it resolved that the confidential report from the Director of Financial Services Treasurer be received for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Latham and Councillor Hentz. All in favor? That's carried. Closed meeting item number 3.
Be it resolved that the Director of Legal Services proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, Deputy Warden Jones. Councillor Sloan, all in favor? That's carried. Closed meeting item number 4.
Be it resolved that the Director of Legal Services proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble. And I thought I saw Counselor Jiguer. All in favor? That's carried. Close meeting number 5.
Be it resolved that staff proceed as directed.
That was to be received for information and directed. Okay. That was number 6 you read?
Yeah.
We're at 5,
Or sorry, I read number 5.
not according to mine.
So
It was
in
a confidential
close-
report. It's Chief Administrative Officer, clerk be received for information.
But then there was direction
All
provided.
right. Well,
And,
we can do both.
okay,
Okay. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Widner, Deputy Warden Jones. All in favor? That's carried. Closed meeting item number 6.
be it resolved that staff proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Sloan, Deputy Warden Jones, all in favor? Carried. Motion to adopt recommendations from the committee of the whole.
Be it resolved that we do now adopt recommendations of the Committee of the Whole.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Noble and Counselor Sloan. All in favor? That's carried. Confirming bylaw,
Be it a first, second, and third read of bylaw number 23-32, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of the Municipal Council of the Corporation of the County of Elgin at the July 11th, 2023 meeting.
mover and seconder, please. Counselors Sloan and Counselor Noble, all in favor? That is carried. And the adjournment motion.
Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 10:28 a.m. to meet again on July 25th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble and Counselor Sloan will second, all in favor. And that is carried. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a productive day.